Hello, am I
Hi.
audible now? Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, there was some technical issue.
it's okay.
Yes, Swasini, on the behalf of our icon family, we are truly honored to host you as our guest speaker today. With a big aim as to solve the mysterious journey of your MNC. So, for our audience, this podcast will deliver different points like clarity of DSA preparation strategies, then contribution of competitive codings, then what mistakes should students avoid during their preparation, some techniques for interview preparations, and the experience which you have achieved by cracking the summer internship of Google. And yeah, the main aim behind being a corporate employee as what rewards you have taken as a Google intern and many more. So we'll start with your introduction, Swasini.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Samruddhi. Hi, guys. I'm Suhasini. I'm currently in final year, computer engineering department. And before engineering, I've completed diploma in computer engineering from Government Polytechnic Pune. And last year, I was a software engineering intern at Google. And after the internship, I've received a PPO. So I'll be joining Google as a full-time software engineer this year, after the completion of my degree. So yeah.
Okay, so behind as a corporate employee in tech background, so like when you think or when did you finalize that you have to make your career in tech domain?
So,
When you find interest in technology, yes.
so you know what? Honestly, it was nothing like I was very passionate about technology right from 8th standard. That's why I wanted to join computer engineering. It was nothing like that. The thing is, I liked maths and I did not like biology and all those subjects. So I was like, okay, I have to, do engineering. And the funny part is, I was going to go for mechanical engineering because my father is a mechanical engineer. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Okay.
It does not, right? But yeah. But then we talked with people and we got to know that, computer engineering is in boom right now. So I went for diploma in computer engineering.
Yes,
And as I started studying as I started studying the subjects, then the languages, I found it interesting. It was pretty interesting. And yeah, that is when I, kind of decided that, okay, this is a good field to go forward with. And I'll try for really good companies. Now that I'm here, I'll try for really good companies. Like, I'll try to do my best in this field. So yeah, this is how it was.
okay, great decision. So, did you find any type of struggles during your this journey at initial stages?
At initial stages, no, honestly, there were no struggles. Only when I started doing DSA, even for DSA, I did not really struggle a lot. Like, students say that they are not able to solve the questions. We'll talk about it later, but there was no such kind of struggles. Like, I could not do something. That was not the thing. So, yeah, talking about struggles, no, there was nothing like, I struggled a lot with.
Okay, so no struggles, no challenges.
Well, it's like everything you do needs a lot of, focus, dedication, consistency. So that is one thing that you need to put your efforts in. But it's not a struggle, really, you have to be consistent, you have to be, you have to dedicate your time to those things. But yeah, it does not come under struggle, I would say. It's just,
Okay.
discipline. It is pretty, it could be tough, but it won't be a struggle as such.
Okay, so it proves that if we dream for something, it makes more interesting for us to be continuing our journey. Okay, so we'll start with different points. Like first one as what you do to be prepared for DSA rounds?
Okay, so I'll start with my journey, and I'll also tell what you guys need to do, or what I personally feel like students' journey should be like. So, like I said, that my computer related journey started in diploma. So during diploma, I studied about languages. Then I studied about development, web development, app development, different kinds of development. Then I started building projects. And then after getting into engineering, in second year, I started doing DSA because in second year itself, I started more, intentionally focusing and practicing or preparing for the companies and the placements. So yeah, before second year, it was like I was exploring all the fields, I was learning languages. And in second year, I specifically started doing DSA, started practicing DSA. And then in third year, I started, applying for companies. So for students, I would say if someone is in first year, I would say be try to be proficient in one language. Like study the languages and try to be good at either of these languages, C++ or Java, because you will be able to do DSA in either of these languages moving further. And in first year, you can also explore development. So I don't say that you need to know all kinds of development, app development, web development, ML. That's not required, that's not necessary. You can do either of these, one of these, whichever interests you. And afterwards, moving forward, if you have time, then you can, explore different other fields as well. So, yeah, in first year, you can focus on one language and you can explore different development fields and you can build projects in one domain. You don't have to build projects for all the domains. I had done that because I was in diploma, right? So during diploma we were having a lot of subjects, so I had projects related to all the fields: web development, app development, ML. Then what else do we have? Java full stack development. So students ask me that do we need to do that? So no, you don't have to. Focus on one domain which you're interested in. And then in second year, so a lot of students do not know this, I'll tell you. At the start of your third year only, companies will start visiting for, internship, and they also offer a PPO after that. So, and in fourth year also companies do visit, but mostly companies start visiting at the start of your third year only. So try to prepare good enough by then. Try to be good. Try to be prepared good enough by then. So in second year, I started practicing DSA. So for DSA, like I was solving problems, I was giving contests, and you can refer to, there is Triver's A to Z sheet, right? You guys
Yes.
might be knowing about it. So you can refer to that one. So now, when I say you can refer to the sheet, I mean you can refer to it, okay? I don't mean that, I'm not saying that you have to solve every single question from that sheet. That is not what I'm saying. That is not even expected. Even I have not solved every single question from the sheet. You can refer to the sheet so that you'll be able to understand what kinds of patterns are there, what could be the different types of questions that could be asked. So you'll cover all the topics. For that reason, you can refer to the sheet because they cover all the topics and all the patterns which you do not know about. And some are some kind of patterns, if you don't go through a sheet, then you won't be able to identify those if you directly start solving questions. People say that go and solve random questions, but if you don't know a certain kind of pattern, and if you come across that kind of question, then you won't be able to solve it because you don't know the pattern, right? So yeah,
Yes.
so refer to the sheet for patterns and solve a couple of questions from that sheet, and then go to all these platforms like LeetCode, CodeChef, GFG, Coding Ninjas, and then there solve random questions related to the topic. Now start with easy level questions, then move forward to medium level questions, and then hard level questions. Also, what you can do is you can sort it according to the acceptance rates. So you can solve the easy level questions with more acceptance rate at first, and then the medium level questions, and then the hard level questions. So yeah, only refer to the sheets for understanding, identifying, and studying about the patterns and types, and then practice the questions by yourself, random questions. Because they'll not ask you exact same questions from the sheet in your interviews. So, yeah, practice random questions. And also, while practicing, a lot of students ask me ki if we are solving a question, means if we look at the solution, we are able to solve the question, and afterwards, if we think of the solution, if a similar problem comes up, we are not able to solve it. So, like, I'm trying to cover all the questions which I have been asked very frequently. So
Yeah,
that,
sure, no, sure.
yeah. So, like, what you do is try to understand the logic of every solution that you're implementing. So, if you're writing a solution, concentrate on the question. Like, what type of question is it? Is this? What is the pattern of this question? And then look at the solution and see how this solution fits to this question. So, identify the pattern and also try to understand the logic of the solution deeply. Don't just think of the solution as the solution of this particular problem only. That solution is not the solution of that particular problem. If you do that, then a new question, if it comes up, even if it is very very similar to the previous question, you won't be able to solve it because you have remembered the solution as the solution of this problem only. Like, okay, this is the solution and this is the problem, and you link it. If this question comes, you'll be able to solve it because you know what its solution is. But if a similar question comes up, you won't be able to solve it even if there is a slight change in the question. So try to understand the logic, how it is implemented. Try to dry run the solution. So yeah, go in depth. So yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So, like for the student which have didn't ever explore any type of data structure, like starting from an initial stage of solving questions of arrays, then strings, then hash maps, like advanced, going from beginner level to the advanced level. Firstly, starting with differentiates, as you shared, we have lead codes, as well as we have A to Z diverse sheet for our reference. So begin with pattern recognition. We have a question that should we go with YouTube tutorials to understand patterns at initial stage, because things are totally new for us. We don't have the clarity of what type of thinking should we have, or what analysis should we do while solving particular question. So is that approach fine for us?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, if like understand the basics of all the data structures at first, and then jump into solving questions and this sheets and all of these. Like, for example, if it's stack, then try to understand its bell, Vaselina, Zaudi. Try to understand its operations like push, pop. Like, it is very basic. And which year students are we having here? First year, second year, third year?
Mostly from F1 and S1.
Okay, cool.
First year, second year.
Okay. So, yeah. Try to, like, I know this because I told this to my brother that, okay, Rajdeep, you have to solve DSA questions if you need to crack good companies. And he jumped on to solving questions. He opened lead code and he opened his first question to sum. And he's like, I'm not able to solve this. I asked him, which operations do you have for stack? And he says, what is operations? I'm like, what are you saying? Like, go through all the basic operations of all the data structures at first and then get on to solving the question. So yeah, go step by step.
Okay, so firstly, understanding particular data structure, and then go for its question. And for question also, we have different levels, like, so firstly the easy level, then go for little bit of medium level questions, then go for high level questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, we did understand that pattern recognition and consistency, it will make us to make this journey more interesting. So all the mistakes like student do while solving the questions is did not recognize questions, and that's why they give up throughout their journey, that saying DSA is not good for us, or cracking the MNCs through DSA rounds is little bit of difficult. So through this discussion, surely they will answerable. Then yeah, about what type of DSA questions you did solve in your Google Summer Internship rounds.
Okay, so talking about the internship interview rounds. So what happened is I got to see. We'll start from the application step. Okay.
Yeah.
So as I said, at the start of your third year, only companies will start visiting, right? Now, when I say, if there are any third year students, like don't get scared or anything. Companies do visit till your final year and even after that, but it starts from your third year itself. So, yeah, at the start of my third year, a lot of companies were posting their openings off campus and on campus. Also, companies were visiting. So, I used to stay active on LinkedIn. So many people keep on posting about the opportunities there. So for someone who does not know, you guys can note it down. Like there are these people who post about the opportunities on LinkedIn. There is Arsh
Yeah.
Goel. There is Arsh Goel. Then there is Krishan Kumar. Maybe I'll put this in the chat box.
Yeah, sure. We'll put up.
Krishan
So,
Kumar.
applying for off campus, we should have a good reference or good people in our network, and
Yeah.
for that, LinkedIn help us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you can follow them. So when they post about the openings, you'll get notified.
Okay, so starting from application, we'll use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Then after that, when you
Yeah.
get to know that,
Yeah, also for getting notified, what you can do is you can go to their career portals, the career portals of the companies, and you can sign in there. So whenever there is an opening for the in the company, they'll notify you about it. Like you'll get an email. So you can do that. So yeah, this was about getting notified about the openings off campus. Now, then yeah, so I had applied for Google at the start of my third year, and then after a couple of months, I received an email from my recruiter saying that my resume has been shortlisted. And then after that, we had 4 rounds for Google internship. So, like the first one was resume shortlisting, then the second one was phone screening round, and then there were 2 45 minutes technical interviews. So, phone screening round, we discussed about my resume, my projects, my previous internship experience, then my DSA experience with DSA and development, all those things. So yeah, this was the phone screening round. We just had a discussion and it was a simple round, but you for this round you need to be very confident, and you need to be humble. You need to be able to convince them that you're a good candidate and you're capable to crack Google interviews. So yeah, they ask you how much DSA you have solved, how much DSA you have studied till now. So yeah, this was about the phone screening round. And take it seriously too, even though it is simple, like people do get rejected in this round. So yeah. And
yeah, people says while having either the technical interviews or phone screen based interviews or HR based interviews, what are the question or problem they have given us, we have to follow instruction as think out loud. So
Yeah.
whatever
this is about the interviews, the 45-minute technical interviews.
Yes. So they get more clarity over either we have the idea about what type of solution we can do to a particular question, and on other hand, we don't know about the answer of particular question, but the approach we follow for solving or logical thinking, it can be better, right, over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So while applying for this internship, did you take any type of reference?
No, for Google I had not taken a referral, but you can apply via referral as well. Actually, what had happened is before Google, for Microsoft, I had taken a referral, and for referral, people don't respond. For Microsoft, I remember I had cold messaged so many people on LinkedIn, like around 20 to 25, and only two of them replied, and that too after so many days, like after 3 to 4 days. So for Google, I was like, I don't want to waste time, because a lot of times what happens is you keep on waiting for a referral, and then the
Yes.
application closes. So yeah, um I was confident about my resume, and I straight away applied. So
Yes, so whatever the applications or roles they have discovered, they closes their deadline within all the seats get discloses. Like if
yeah,
allotment is
yeah, it's not.
particularly for 10 to 15,
Sorry.
if they have less minimum number of seats, they closes this role particular before particular deadlines, right?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So you can. Yeah, Miraj, we will talk about resume. Just a minute.
Yes, we are going for that one.
Yeah.
So after the phone screen interview, we had the technical interview, right?
Yeah.
So how many questions did they ask over there?
So technical interviews were completely DSA based. For Google, they don't ask anything about your projects, no core subjects, nothing. They are completely DSA focused. So in my first round of interview, so we started, with our introductions, me and my interviewer. And then the first question that I was asked was a backtracking question. And then I tried to explain him whatever I'm thinking. I was constantly communicating with him. So during your interviews, communication is a very important point. Whatever you're thinking, just let them know. Keep on communicating. So whenever if you are going off track, they will help you. They're there to help you, the interviewers. Don't get, intimidated by them. So yeah, the first question was a backtracking question. I told him my approach, then I coded it, then a little dry run, and we discussed about the time complexity and the space complexity. So yeah, this was the first question, and the second question that I was asked was a DP question, and I gave him multiple approaches for that question. Then again, he asked some follow-up questions, optimizations, and then we discussed about time complexities and space complexities, and then dry run. Yeah, so this was the about the first round. So in this round, the questions were, the first question was of medium level, and the second one was a little medium hard. So for Google, it's like the questions are a little tricky. So once you get what the trick is, so
you can crack it, right?
So
does it have the similarity of like whatever the questions we have in LeetCode or either in A to Z Strivers sheet? Does it have the similarity of backtracking questions?
Well, the base is DSA only. The questions are DSA based only, but those questions are not like Strivers questions or LeetCode questions. Like those are not straightaway questions. They form a story around it, a huge story, and then you have to identify what approach is to be applied and what logic is to be used. So you need to understand it from that they form a story around the question. So yeah, but the base part is DSA only. The questions are solved using DSA itself.
Okay, cool. So you faced two questions, one as a backtracking base and another was DP base, right? So you did prepare for all the advanced level of DSA, like 3D based questions are there, dynamic programming based questions are there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So in my second round of interview, I was asked only one question. It was a hard level question, and it was based on heaps. So yeah, I had done till tries, like arrays till tries, till my interviews. It was the very start of my third year. So yeah, I had done it till there. So
Okay, nice.
yeah, in the second round also I tried to build up the logic using pen and paper, and I tried to communicate it with the interviewer. If at any point if I get stuck, then he used to give me hints. Then we were solving the question. It's like we were solving the question together, and they're so they're very chill. If in my first round I just joined and I was very nervous because we practice so
Yeah,
hard for these companies and it's our interview. So I just joined and I was a little nervous. And he says, "Hi Suhasini, if you want to, you can call me by my name." I was like, "No, no, thank you."
okay.
So yeah, they're very chill. So don't get intimidated by them, because if you get intimidated, even if we even if in other case
We know the solution.
mess up.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
And
If it is nervous, we cannot logically think or we cannot deliver either the solution we have solved in our past preparation, right?
Yeah, the questions are similar. Those are, like you said, even if we have solved the questions in past. So I would say that the questions are not seen before. Like they're completely new questions.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying that focus on the logic and not the question and its solution. So try to focus on the logical part, how to solve these kind of questions. So if a new question comes up, you'll be able to solve it because they are related. The questions in the interviews are
Right.
related, but they're new, they're unseen. So
So what do you think, like this much of DSC question should be do by any student who aim to crack the analysis?
see, honestly, there is like a number is not there. Okay, if you solve these many number of questions, you'll be able to crack it. It's not like that. You need to, go through all the topics, and if you feel confident enough that okay, I've solved these many questions for this topic, and if a new question comes up, I'll be able to solve it. If you're confident about it, then you're good to go. But if you have solved 100 questions based on arrays, but if a new question comes up and you feel like you will still not be able to solve it, then the 100 questions are not really of any use, right? Even if you solve 50. But if you are confident that if a new question comes up, I'll be able to solve it because I've covered all the patterns and everything. I've deeply understood those 50 questions. So I'm confident about the new question. Then it's good. So number does not really matter. What matters is if you are doing if you are trying to understand the logic of the questions that you're solving. So focus on your understanding and your logic building, and whether you'll be able to solve a new question. So work in that direction rather than working towards a specific number of questions.
Okay, so delivering whatever the solution we have in optimal way or with respect to optimal DSA, and also we always need to focus whatever the solution we have should be delivered within a particular timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for that, did you practice any type of mock interviews?
I had not
Before
given
that.
mock interviews because no, I had not given mock interviews because I had to revise all the topics. So I was having less time for revision. Less means those were 15 days, but still not 15, 2 weeks, 15 days. Okay, those were 15 days.
Okay.
So I was just revising everything that I had done so far. So I did not get time to give mock interviews. But yeah, you can go for mock interviews.
So within this 15 days of duration, what topics did you practice? Like DSBS are there, then core fundamentals are also there. Then also you have to be confident about what are the projects you have did. And all these projects are like from our initial stage. So they have the gap of like one year, 2 years. So what things you do
So,
within
like
this
I
15
said,
days time?
yeah, so like I said, the interviews are completely DSA focused. So they don't ask any questions based on your core subjects or your resume. Nothing is asked. You'll join, they'll join, the interviewer will join, and he'll ask you only DSA questions, completely DSA based. So nothing other than that they ask. Even in my second interview, he did not even ask me for my introduction. Only DSA question was asked.
Okay,
I solved it. We discussed on that, optimizations, trade-offs, everything, and it was done. So Google interviews are completely DSA based.
Okay, great. So, talking about the projects, what type of domains you choose for development?
So, like I said, because of diploma, I had projects for all sorts of development, right?
Yes.
So, I had project for web development, then app development, machine learning, then what else do we? Java full stack development I had. So, okay, so let's first talk about resume. So, for resume, what you do is whenever you're applying for any company, so align your resume to the job description of the company. Okay?
Yes.
And so, for example, if a company's requirement is, say, if its requirement is web development, and if you add simply machine learning projects, then that makes no sense,
Yes.
right?
So it will not go there.
Yeah, they'll not shortlist you.
Right.
So align your resume to their job description, to their requirements, and like also add keywords from the requirements so that it gets easier for your resume to get shortlisted.
Yeah, so it will be helpful for like if I have 4 to 5 projects, either with web development, Android development, any gaming based or security based projects are there. So aligning my projects with respect to job description, it will be helpful to be more selected. Possibility
Yeah,
of
it will be helpful. But see, wait, I'll I'll tell you guys. I had all these projects, but I don't say that everyone should have projects from all the tech stacks because that is not possible, right? Till third year, what everything will you do? Like you'll do all tech stacks also. You will also do this thing DSA. You will also do your college subjects, core subjects. So that's not possible. So I would say that focus on any one of these tech stacks. So you can either go with ML or web development, I would say, because these days people usually start with web development. So I would say web development is good. Like I had many co-interns who only had web development projects on their resume and had good and were good at DSA. So you can only go with any one of these tech stacks. So and preferably I would say go with web development because for beginner like for freshers they see if you are able to build applications like do you know about backend then front end then its connection and everything. So it's good. So you can study web development, you can add web development projects, and in EDI you anyways build ML projects, so you can add one of those. So don't stress out about this. Okay, so and that way you can add your projects on your resume. But like what I used to do, I used to, and you can also do this, you are supposed to do this whenever you're applying, align your resume towards the job description of the requirements. Now for example, if you're applying for an ML role, add ML projects. Web development, add web development projects.
Okay, so if I choose like I have to do web development to make a good level of projects. But in web development also we have so much of options like either should we follow month stack or Flask based stack. So how to decide that things over there?
It depends on your interest. Whatever interests you, you can do that. They don't expect you to have any specific kind of projects on your resume. So for Google at least, they only need you to be good at DSA and have like basic good understanding of development.
Okay, so choosing the real world solution and to implement it, either you can go for web development or Android development without focusing more on tech stack, right?
Yeah, like whatever interests you. If you are more interested in AI/ML, you can build projects related to that. So yeah, and you also add keywords in your resume whenever you're applying. So if in the job description there are certain keywords, add those to your resume. And
yes, it will be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if like construct your resume smartly. Like if it is ML based opening, so what you do is whenever you're writing languages, you can write Python at the beginning so that they'll read Python at first. So you can do such modifications on in your resume and follow LaTeX format. So LaTeX format is ATS friendly, right?
Yes.
So you can follow that.
It will, yeah. By adding keywords, it will be more ATS friendly.
Yeah, yeah. And talking about my projects, like in Google's requirement, it was written Java. So I had added a Java full stack project, and I had added a web development project, used ML with it. And the third one was app, mobile application. So it was also using Java in the backend. So yeah, these were the tech stacks which I had added projects related to web development, then app and Java full stack project. So you can add
Okay,
projects.
good. So having a web development, then DSA practice, all the giving timing for our contest, right? So how did you balance all these things? Balancing your academics.
So honestly, for academics, I used to study a couple of days before exam, right? So, and the rest of the semester, I used to do DSA only. Like, only DSA I have done, a lot of DSA, because I knew that companies, off campus, Mang, FANG, everyone expects you to be good at DSA. So, I was practicing DSA, and on weekends, I was building projects. If I'm learning a new tech stack, I was building projects. And
so having a good time management will help here, right?
Yeah, and EDI projects also we were building side by side. So EDI projects are also good projects that we are building, right?
Is that fine to add like EDI project or our subject-based CP projects in resume?
Yeah, if they're relatively, you can add it. Yeah, for if any opening you feel like this is a good fit for this opening, you can add it.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, talking about college studies, what you can do is you can read all the PPTs or notes given by our teachers at for once, and like it depends on how you study. But I used to study for college subjects a couple of days before the exam, and rest of the time I used to do DSA and side by side, like EDI projects or development only on weekdays. But my main focus, major focus was on DSA only.
Okay, so we have a request for you that can you share your resume sample? So it will be more helpful for the audience that like what actual things should we do
I
while
will
drafting the templates.
okay, I'll see. I'll share the template which I had followed. Okay.
Okay, no issue. So we have from our one of the team member will share his resume. So you have to give some tips for more improvement.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. And like I said, that I have different resumes for different companies. So, but you guys might be wanting Google resume only, right?
Yeah. Preparing or drafting our resume based on job description. It is a key point for us.
Yeah. I'll share the template and you guys can send your resumes to me. I'll review it for you for whichever company you are applying. Otherwise, also a normal resume you can share. I'll review it and I'll tell you if there's anything to be added.
Okay, fine. Okay, so he has shared his resume.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if he have to apply for big MNCs? What do you think changes should be over there? Firstly, should we add our photo? Should we add our photo in our resume? Or does it
Yeah, it's
matter?
okay. It adds. Yes, you can. No, it does not matter. Even if you don't, it's fine. But thing, it adds credibility when recruiters see your resume, see your photo, and it just adds credibility. So it's not a deal breaker.
Okay. So what suggestions like about any heading part or about the experience?
Can you just scroll up?
You can just little bit zoom in, so it will be more readable for us.
Links.
Yes. So do you think any changes in header section? Yeah.
Am I audible?
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
you are now.
Okay. So you can add your education like a section. Like I'll share the template. So like your college. My education.
Actually, he have add at the bottom.
Oh no,
Yes.
don't do this.
At
Add education section at the very top. Because that is the first thing they want to know about you, that which college you are from. Like add it to the top. So
Okay.
yeah, go up, scroll up. Yeah, so and everything that this you have added mobile address, LinkedIn, GitHub, vagera vagera. You can add it in the header part, like horizontally. Give your links there. Okay. And Aryan Sonane, write your name in the middle of your resume. Then horizontally give those links and your contact details, and shift the education part at the top. Don't keep it at the bottom. And professional overview. So like even if you don't add this thing, like professional overview, it's fine. So if you want to, you can. But even if you don't, it's fine. Like keep it very, very clean and very to the point. Because recruiters, they don't have much time to read all the content on your resume. So yeah, experience, build AI driven project. So now you've added website secretary at this student council, and then you have added project intern can spirit AI Pashan Pune, and then Gen AI migration tool. This is also a company, right? So maybe okay. So this is according to this thing, the timeline, but see, you can add this thing, the companies, the work that you've done at companies. So you can add it at the top rather than about college clubs, your contribution in college clubs. You can write it down, and the work that you've done or the internship that you've done, your experience in the actual companies, you can write it above these things about college councils and everything. Hello.
Okay, all right. And also, and the tools, technical skills part. So, in how shall I do these things in the experience part, like in particular, notes, particular project or skills that have in this section?
So your voice was breaking, but also I would say in experience also, after the name of the company, write the tech stack or the tools that you had worked on. Like for example, here you have written GenAI migration tool, then the name of the company, right? So point you can one point you can write all the tools that you have worked on, like .NET or React.js, C Sharp, all of that. But it is also still fine. You have written it in a sentence format, or you can just trim it down, writing just only the keywords, the tech stack you worked on, the topic you worked on. And about the projects, so in projects also what I had done, so after the project name, I had written what all I have used for the project after the title only. So in project, for example, if it is a full stack MERN project, you can write it there. Suppose Medi Mantra is a MERN project. You can write Medi Mantra, a full stack project, and then right in front of it, you can write everything which you've used, like MERN stack you can write, and then React, MongoDB, like this. What all things you have used, you can write that. In technical skills, databases, other frameworks and tools, AIML, core ones. So languages, okay, wait. Languages, you have all written it all together, right? So what you can do is, languages, you can have a separate point where you will write Java, C, C++, Python, and you can have another point about web development, and in front of that point, you can write about everything you've learned about web development, like MERN stack, then all those React, Node.js. You can also write those names because ATS, they might also have these full forms of all the things like React, vagera. You can write it there. Then PHP. So all the web development related things, make a separate point for it. There you can write JavaScript, TypeScript, HTML, CSS, rather than putting it under this thing only, languages only. So make a separate point for it. Even Arduino programming, you can maybe make another point for it, like IoT, and then write Arduino programming and everything that we have related to IoT. Then core subjects, oops, data science, data structures. Yeah, this is fine. And also, like I said, so if in any company's requirements, they have written DSA. No, let's say they have written OS and not operating systems. So also after operating systems, in a bracket, write OS because they have written it in their requirements, right? So they might also add it to their ATS. So write those keywords as well. So yeah, otherwise it is fine. Just make it just keep it very clean. Certifications and publications. Okay, education added to the top. Okay, it's good.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for the review. I'll certainly do the changes. And another thing, what is there any resource or is there anything specific that we should use those keywords in these resumes so that to get it ATS friendly? Like just now you said that OS and operating system, these two things can be two different things for the ATS. So
Depending on the requirements of the company, depending on their job description. So like whenever you are going on their career portal, right, whenever you're applying, so there they have the requirements or the job descriptions that students should know web development or students should be good at Java and they should be good at DSA. So likewise, the JD that they have on their career portal where we apply, there is this apply button so down there.
All right. So we can just refer their website or wherever they have flashed their job description, and we can take out keywords from there.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So, yes, he did understand that having a great sequence as starting from our education, experience, then skills, projects, it will be easy for interviewer. Like only some sort of seconds they did analyze our resume, so it will be helpful. Okay,
Yeah.
so at the end we'll have a quick rapid fire for you. You have to share some memories um, from your MNC's 3 months internship.
Okay, so like at Google, it is a very fun place, honestly, to be at. Uh, so like as an intern, so interns get an opportunity to work on either of the Google products like Google Maps or GCP or YouTube or Gemini AI. So I was a part of Google Cloud. So I was in GCP billing and finance specifically. So yeah, like Google is a very cheerful company. The people are very kind, they're helpful, they're smart. And also Google Food, it needs a mention, right?
Yeah.
Also at Google, we have for example from the first floor, if you want to come to the ground floor, and if you don't want to come by stairs or if you don't want to come by lift, you also have a slide, so you can just slide down. So yeah, there are very fun things in the office. Then there is gym, spa. So now that we're talking about Google experience, so it is a very cheerful place.
Okay, great. So, what was the team size on
My
the
team-
project which you were working? Yeah.
My team was big comparatively, like compared to the other teams. My team was of like 25 people. And
Okay.
like the larger team was of 25 people. Again, we were having sub teams. So my sub team was of 6 people. But the main team, our main team was of 25 people. And yeah, my project was like we were working on this thing, billing and finances of the GCP services. Like worldwide, people use Google Cloud services, right? And then you guys might be knowing Google Cloud has this pay as you go model. So plan billing the customer according to how much they have used. So working on that. Like I cannot share what my project was exactly, but it was something related to this. And after getting in a company, they have like things are different. You will have to learn everything after you get in, and then you will have to work. You'll have to implement. So it's not exactly the same like how we do things here.
Okay. So, and how was the pattern like having so much like if you do compare, on one side we have development and on the other side we have meetings. So, what was the more point over there?
For interns, it was for everyone. It was development only. Coding was the major part. Meetings only in the morning. There are stand-ups where you share what you have done in the previous day and what you're planning to do today. But for interns, it is not compulsory. So yeah, coding is the main part for everyone.
Okay. So, any mistake you think that you did during your internship period?
During internship?
Yes.
During internship, I did not do, but while preparing, and I would also like to say this to everyone, like when you're doing DSA, you'll feel like you're not perfectly good at one topic, and you'll keep on doing that topic only until you feel, okay, I have done enough, and then only you will move forward. So like, don't do that. Like for example, you'll get stuck at arrays only then. You'll keep on doing it for like months and months. So like whenever you're solving a topic, solve some questions, try to get an understanding of it, And after solving a couple of questions, even if you feel like you're not 100% confident, move forward. Don't get stuck at one point for very long. Move forward and then again come back to Aries. Then again move forward, come back. Like this you can do. Don't get stuck at one point. And during the internship, I would say if you, when you guys get an internship, you will be assigned mentors. So constantly ask for their feedback and check if you are, if you're working according to their expectations, if you're meeting their expectations. And yeah, try to complete your tasks in the best possible way. Yeah.
Okay, great. So after this internship offer, as you are applying for actual employment offer, right? So there you will have interviews too.
No. So after internship, your PPO will be performance based.
Okay, great.
So if you perform well, there are these criterias. There are certain criterias for your evaluation, like your problem solving skills, then your coding part. If you're writing good code, clean code, then there is communication, then collaboration and teamwork. There are certain points. So according to that, they evaluate you, and based on your performance, they offer you a PPO. And also now that we have talked about DSA and development, I would also like to say this is a very important point: communication. Like communication is pretty important as well, because it will help you when you're giving interviews. Also, after you join the company, when you are interacting with people, when you're presenting your work. So if you're good at communication, it will really help you. So also concentrate on your communication skills along with all these technical things.
Okay, great. So throughout your entire experience, can you share any type of advice for our audience?
So a very, very important advice I would like to give you is, now that you are, majority of you are first and second year students, as you said. So when you get into third year, you'll feel like you're not very well prepared for applying anywhere. So and you'll not apply only. So don't self-reject, even if you feel like you're not good enough for the up for applying. If you're not well prepared, very well prepared, even if you feel like that, don't self-reject. Just go forward and apply, because in the worst case you'll get rejected. Otherwise, you'll at least have interviews if you get shortlisted. So don't self-reject. Go forward and apply. You'll have an experience even if you don't get selected, and if you get selected, then congratulations. So yeah, another thing I would say is keep practicing DSA, keep applying off campus, and be aware, like be vigilant what is happening off campus, which companies have their openings. And even while applying on campus, don't just keep on applying passively to every company which is visiting. Talk to seniors, understand after this company which companies can visit our campus, so that you can take calculated risk as well. So yeah, be active, don't sit passively.
Okay, great. So all the experiences did you share with us are really grateful. So we'll go towards Q&A session. So what are the doubts our audience have?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see that. Okay, so someone is asking that what things should we do to make a standout base resume?
A resume that would stand out?
Yes.
So, like I said, maybe you can add innovative projects, and see, only the important thing is that you align your resume to whatever their requirement is, according to their requirements. Because this is the only mistake that people do, from what I have seen, and then they don't get shortlisted only because of that. So, like in Google's requirement, there was also Linux written. So I was not very good at Linux at that time. Once I knew the basic commands and everything, but I was like, I'll do it. I'll study all of it in 2 or 3 days. So I wrote Linux also, and yeah, then I studied about Linux. So yeah, do it this way. Whatever the requirement of the company is, add those things on your resume. Then shortlist and keep it like clean. Don't keep it very cluttered. Like people add everything over there. They keep it very cluttered. So don't do that.
Okay, and for intern role, like how many pages of resume will be more good? One page is enough.
Keep it more than one page. Only one page.
Yeah, great. Okay, so next question about the question from Viraj, as we already answered that one.
He has also asked, do things like past experience hackathons also matter? So, no, they don't matter much. Past experience, no. See, the past experience is not required. Even hackathons, if you have won hackathons, it's good. Even if you don't have, it's okay. What do you think made your resume stand out the most? See, they only look for Google specifically, I'm saying. They look for good projects and means basic projects. You don't have to be, you don't have to have very pro projects on your resume, but you should be having good DSA profiles, or you should be good at DSA. So Google looks for DSA specifically. And also in the phone screening round, they ask you how good you are at DSA. They try to, understand how good the candidate is at DSA. If they will be able to crack the interviews if they are, moved forward in the process. So yeah, for Google, DSA is very important. And for Microsoft, Amazon, even for these companies, DSA is important, but I've heard they also ask core subjects as well. For Google, Meta, Apple, they only ask DSA. And Amazon, Microsoft, they ask DSA and a little bit of core subjects. And some questions based on your projects.
Okay, so you can you prioritize like DSA development and competitive coding in ranks?
DSA, then development, and then competitive programming.
Okay, and for development, is that fine to have an individual projects or the team?
Hello.
Yes, Suhani, your connection is fine. I think it's Samruddhi's problem.
Okay. If you were starting again from second, third year in today's AI-driven and highly competitive environment, how would you prepare for Google in the next 6 or 12 months? What exact roadmap would you follow? Starting again from second or third year. AI-driven and highly competitive. See, AI-driven or highly competitive, it does not matter. Like, you have to prepare it to your best. And if I was starting from second, third year, I would do the exact same things which I have done during my time. Like, I would start with the basic operations of DSA, and then I will move forward to, solving questions. Firstly, easy level questions, then gradually I'll move on to medium level questions, and then to hard level questions. I will dry run questions, recursion, backtracking. You will not understand it unless you dry run it using pen and paper, how the calls are made, unless you trace it. So, yeah, dry run, focus on the logic. And yeah. And also, now that you've mentioned AI driven, a very funny part, and it's very interesting actually. What happened is, I have given Meta interviews as well, and for Meta, I had this third round, which was AI enabled DSA interview. So I was like, what is this? And then the recruiter told me that for this interview, you have to solve DSA questions using AI like ChatGPT or LLMs. So this was something that is different. Like even companies are starting to use AI even in their interviews. So they just want to look at how you approach a problem, how you think. So yeah, don't worry about AI or anything. Just focus on your preparation and getting better at solving questions. What weightage? What weightage give to specifically for on-campus placements? And off-campus placements, just give the percentage for both. See, for on-campus placements, there are many companies which are very much interested in development, and they ask only medium level or easy level DSA questions. So, but it also depends on the companies. Like for example, for PhonePe required you to have a very good knowledge of DSA. Even PhonePe was on campus. So and basic development, but some companies require you to be really good at development and have very basic knowledge about DSA on campus. So since our college is having a lot of a variety of companies visiting, so it depends on the company. But for on-campus placements, development is also important and DSA is also important. Some companies will expect you to be really good at DSA, and some will ask you very, very basic questions, easy, medium level questions. Even JP Morgan asks very easy, medium questions. So, yeah, it depends on the company. And for off-campus, I would say it is 90% DSA, 95% DSA, 5% development. For future further updates. Right? So, our main focus. So for DSA language, you can select either of these languages, Java or C++. Mine was Java. Many people also select Python. Even that is good, but I would say rather than going forward with Python, you can select either of these, Java or C++. So yeah, I would recommend, since you guys study C++, since you guys study C and then C++, then you can straight away start with DSA, right? So you can go forward with C++. Otherwise, after C++, you'll again have to learn Java and then you'll start DSA. So rather than the delay, you can go with C++. It's fine. I did it with Java because in my last semester of diploma, we were having Java language. So, and C++ I had done it long back. So I was comfortable recently with Java. That's why I started with Java. Technical round was more on DSA or CP type, means having CP concepts, like math theory on all. No, it was not having maths theory or like that. It was DSA type, but like story kind of questions. The questions were in a story format. But yeah, math theory or anything was not there. It was like logically thinking of the solution. There were many edge cases, thinking of that. So, did you do competitive coding as well? So I have solved questions on CodeChef, and I have given a couple of contests, but not a lot. Like I have done a lot of DSA at first, and then in the later part, I did a bit of CP, but CP is not required. Like if you have completed DSA and if you have time, then you can go for competitive programming. So initially, my focus was completely on DSA only, and majority of the part I've done DSA. And just for exploring, I have given some contests on these platforms, and I have solved a couple of questions on CodeChef. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. What weightage? We have done this, right?
Yes, we did rank already.
Now we are at Ariel Sadavarkar's question, right? Or we have completed or something?
No. We can go with Ari's question.
Okay. Nothing differently. You can, innovatively think of your own project, like think of your own idea and develop it. So, kind of project which would be innovative, your own idea, which will not be there on any of the platform like YouTube or anything. Like I mean, it does not even have to be very, very innovative, but don't do Instagram clone or LinkedIn clone, such kind of projects. So yeah, think of the idea by yourself and implement it. You can also take help of ChatGPT or LLMs, Claude, वगैरह. So, but if you do these, very common projects like blog application and all of these, then they don't form a good impression. So yeah, 6 months are good enough if you dedicatedly solve questions, if you dedicatedly, practice DSA. And you are already at intermediate level in DSA. You are in second year, second semester. Yeah. Google technical round was more. Okay.
Okay, so I think we answered most of the questions.
Yeah.
And everyone, if anyone have doubt, will share her LinkedIn social media IDs, so it will be easy for you to solve your queries. Also, Sohani, if you share resources links like any particular sheet other than A to Z Fiverr or any YouTube channels, so it will be helpful for audience to prepare them for MNCs.
So for DSA, I had only referred to Striver, and Striver is also he was also an engineer at Google. So
Yeah.
He has pretty well, he also has these things like documentations on his platform. So you can refer to Striver. I had referred to Striver, and then I used to solve questions on these platforms. So you guys can do it too. And for development, if you ask me, then you can do development from these official documentations which are available. And also on YouTube, there are, various playlists. Like there is this thing, Code with Harry and Free Code Camp. They're having playlists. So you can do development from there, from official documentations. For ML, there is this course by Andrew Ng. So yeah. For DSA, CPP or Java development and ML, so you taken any course online? No, I had not done any course online. For ML, you can do Andrew Ng's course. For Andrew Ng's course also, it's like you will get free links from somewhere where all the videos are there. So you don't even have to purchase the course. And our college also gives us Coursera's subscription, right? So we can do those courses for free.
Okay, great. So we are ending our podcast over here. Thank you so much, Suhani, for your insightful feedbacks and
Please call
sharing
me
your
Suhasini.
journey.
I said, please call me Suhasini. I mean, you were saying Suhani, so.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so any question from audience? You can answer them through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. I hope you guys have found this session to be helpful. So yeah, if anytime you guys have to ask anything, you can, simply ping me on LinkedIn or yeah, I'll be there always for you all. Okay.
Yes, I think.
Don't call me ma'am. I'm in final year. I have not even graduated yet. Why are you guys calling me ma'am? Don't do that. You can call me Suhasini only. Not even the. Call me Suhasini. Okay. Okay then.
Okay then. So we are ending our session, everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice to have you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.